This is Retirement Roadmap Radio with Mark Fricks of Master Plan Retirement Consultants. Listen in as we address your retirement concerns and provide insight to help put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, Retirement Roadmap Radio.
Hey folks, welcome back to Retirement Roadmap with Master Plan Retirement Consultants. I am Investment Advisor Representative Evan Fricks, and with me as always, Investment Advisor Rep, as well as financial planner, retirement planner extraordinaire, Mark Fricks. Folks, we are nearing the end of the year, and a lot of people use this time to scramble to make up for any last-minute contributions to qualified accounts, IRAs, Roths, anything that they can get in before the end of the year that they haven't done. We try to, of course, with our clients, take care of that throughout the year.
Hopefully earlier.
Inevitably, we get some last minute goal runs, right? So we want to talk a little bit about tax planning and retirement and why this looming end of the year deadline is important. But specifically we want to discuss some tax-free vehicles and why that's so important for tax planning. And of course, we know every year an individual has a contribution limit to how much they can put into an individual IRA or a Roth IRA. That's $6,500 this year, 2023. So what year is it? Remind me?
Almost all year.
Yeah, 2023, nearly all year, unless you're over 50, and then you have an extra $1,000. And of course, if you're married, you both have that as well. So
as long as you have earned income.
As long as one of the spouses has earned income, then you can both contribute that full amount. So one, we need to make sure we get it in for 2023 before the new year, because then it starts all over. So if you want to maximize what you're putting away in a qualified account, whether it's tax deferred in an IRA or tax free, we want to get it in so that you can start all over in 2024 and put the full amount there. We want to build as much as we can. But there's another looming deadline that's a couple years away, Mark. You want to speak into that a little bit?
Yeah, the Tax Cut Act, sometimes referred to as the Trump tax cuts, that originated in 2017. One of the ways that it got passed was Congress, and especially the Democrats, wanted to put a deadline on it. So, okay, we'll give you this, but only for so long. So the deadline is December 31st, 2025, which is 2 years and 3 weeks away, give or take, okay? And so we have 2 years of what we consider taxes being on sale. They are estimating that once those Trump tax cuts expire or sunset, that taxes will go up an average of 22%. Now, I'm not saying the bracket will become a 22% higher. I'm saying if you're in a 15, it might go to like a 19 or a 20. And so it's very critical that not only this relates less to putting money into a Roth or an IRA, relates more to perhaps getting money out of an IRA into a Roth or other investment vehicle that's tax-free. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on the rules, but very basically speaking, a lot of people don't understand Roth conversions. A Roth conversion, anybody can do it. Doesn't matter your income level, doesn't matter if you have earned income or not, doesn't matter what age you are, and there's no limit on how much you can do. So that's a very basic, simple thing. You just have to pay the taxes when it goes from the IRA to the Roth. But the great news is you never pay them again. So Roth conversions is one thing we'll be included today to talk a little bit about. But there's several other things you can do as well. But I'm glad Evan brought up the deadline, because if you are hearing this show this week, you're running out of time to get into this year for sure. But the Trump tax cuts do expire in a little over 2 years. And so if there's any planning to get money out of IRAs, now's the time over the next 2 years. After that, it's going to cost you more money to get it into a Roth or other tax-free vehicle for sure.
So let's discuss for a moment why tax planning is so important in retirement anyways. We know in the past there's the old adage, well, I won't need as much. I'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. I'm not going to be earning as much income, all this other stuff. And we found that, Mark, that's simply not true.
It's not true. I mean, we have hundreds of clients, and very rarely do we see a client go to a lower tax bracket in retirement. It's just not happening. Part of the reason is they're not putting money into an IRA or 401k and getting that tax break. Now they have full income, and most people want 80 to 100% of their income the same as when they were working. I don't have any clients, do we, Evan, that are living on half of what they lived on
Well,
when they worked?
folks don't work their whole lives so that they can
Live
on a budget.
in a
That's not the
tent.
plan, at least. Sometimes you have to.
Well, sometimes you
unfortunately.
have, yeah.
But no one wants to work their whole life so that they have to tighten down and not enjoy the fruits of their labor, so to speak. But not only do we have the Trump tax cuts expiring in the future, but taxes in general are going up, and everyone feels it, everyone sees it, at this point, it's hard to ignore the writing on the wall. I mean, we're spending so much as a government. Our debt is just piling
32
on
plus
top
trillion.
of trillions and trillions. And the only way to cut, who's going to be affected by that? The middle class mostly. Correct?
It really is. I mean, I know from Washington they talk about if you make over 400,000, it won't affect you. I've seen what's in Congress. I've read, and believe me, it's going to affect people all the way down to 75,000, and even below that a little bit. Even the new brackets, the first bracket right now is 10%. It's going to go to 12 to 15% for the lowest wage earners. So don't tell me this, the wealthy that's going to get hit. It's going to be the middle class, and that's the majority of people we work with. That's the majority of people that listen to our program, and so don't ignore it. And you know, Evan, we talk a lot about macro thinking versus micro thinking, and so micro thinking means this year, and yeah, this year is important, but I would be willing to pay a little bit more taxes this year so that the rest of my life I pay less taxes.
Yeah.
And so we're very much into the tax planning and making sure that our mindset's correct.
Yeah, and I don't want to harp too much on this before we move on to the other topics, but a whole nother tax situation is there are just so many unknown rules that people aren't aware of. There are so many gotchas and mistakes you can make with your tax planning that now, today's retirement planning, we're seeing more and more of the possibility of losing more money to taxes than to actual market investments.
Absolutely, and it keeps going. You know, you might have one bad market year, but if you're paying higher taxes, that's the rest of your life. Right. And I don't see them ever coming back down. Again, like you mentioned our debt. What about the fact that Social Security is going broke? Medicare is going broke. I mean, we're sending billions of dollars in aid to other countries. We're creating new social programs in order for people to get reelected, and it's spiraling. And most republics, as we are, tend to follow that route. The history of the world is if you're a republic, after a couple of hundred years, it just kind of everybody starts giving more and more stuff away to get elected, and the nation just kind of crumbles upon itself.
Or at least promising to give something.
Yeah,
away.
And I don't want to be
and then
too
getting elected.
I don't want to be too dramatic here, you know. But we see we see some of the writing on the wall. So plan now, especially again while taxes are on sale.
So a little bit of review on IRAs versus Roth. So they're both qualified funds. A Roth is actually a Roth IRA. So they're essentially the same wrapper with different rules. An IRA, as we know, is tax deferred. So you put money in now. You are not taxed on that, and you even get a little break when you file your taxes for that year. So it feels good. I put money in my IRA. I got a little discount on my taxes. Fantastic. Let that grow for 10, 20, 30 years, and then when you're ready to take it out in retirement after age 59 and a half, when you take it out, you're taxed on that. And tax deferral is a powerful tool, and we do
believe in tax
there is a
deferral.
place for that. However, when you take it out, it's generally, hopefully, if you're an investment advisor, you did a good job. It's a lot bigger than when you put it in, so your tax burden is higher. And depending on your tax bracket, you've got that weight on that tax as well.
Yeah, you've grown that crop bigger and bigger and bigger, and now you're going to pay taxes on the crop as opposed to the seed that you put into the ground, which is the Roth.
Right.
The Roth is you pay your tax on the seed. In other words, you don't get a tax deduction when the money goes in, but you never pay taxes again. It grows tax deferred, powerful again, but comes out tax free. I don't care if your bracket's 90%. That money comes out tax-free.
Yep.
And you're not required to take money out of a Roth like you do an IRA at age 73. And so you have that other benefit as well, that if you don't need it, you don't have to take it out. But you do take it out, you pay no taxes. Powerful.
And really, you don't, when you put money into an IRA or a Roth, you don't feel a difference when you're putting it in. You just don't get that little extra discount with a Roth. It's after-tax money that you're putting in.
Yeah, the one thing you got to be careful of, especially if you're doing it at work. So if you're doing a 401k, many 401ks now have a Roth portion. So if you start putting all your money in the Roth side, your check will get a little bit smaller because you're not getting a tax deduction. So I'll be careful about doing it all at once. So let's say you're putting 10% into your traditional 401k, maybe put 7% in the traditional and 3% in the Roth. See what the paycheck feels like. You go, hey, that's only $20. I can do a little bit more, and kind of work your way into the Roth. But I'm telling you, this is, I don't make recommendations in this show, but I do have strong opinions. And my opinion is the Roth is certainly, I think, a more powerful instrument than the IRA.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Individual IRAs and Roths, their rules are a little bit different than employer-sponsored plans like a 401k or 401(b). For instance, in a 401k, your contribution limits are higher, but yes, your paycheck could be affected with a Roth. So you want to make sure that you do that with a little bit of forethought.
You want to make sure you have a plan.
Yeah, which brings me to a great point. Our website, masterplanretire.com. There you can schedule your complimentary consultation with one of our advisors. Use that as an opportunity to come in, ask your questions, have some reports ran for you, and get a 10,000-foot view of your own retirement. That's masterplanretire.com, or you can call us at 770-980-9262. Okay. So
and we do answer the phone, by the way.
And we do answer the phone as well, believe it or not. IRAs, Roths. We also have a previous episode where we've discussed what we call a LIRP, and I believe the title of the episode is What the Heck is a LIRP? Mark, what the heck is a LIRP?
Well, LIRP stands for Life Insurance Retirement Plan. This is becoming very popular. I'm reading more and more articles about it, and actually if you schedule a consultation, I'll be glad to give you a book about them. First of all, it's got to be part of an overall plan. Just don't go out and call your insurance agent and say, I want to do one of these. It's got to be an overall part of a plan, and you need to work with a fiduciary on any of this, and you need to make sure they know what they're doing. But basically what a LIRP is it's a glorified Roth. Okay, that's probably the best way. So what makes it glorified or a super Roth? Well, number one, it works like a Roth in the fact that any money you put in there is after-tax money, so it could come out of an IRA and pay the taxes. It could come out of your pocket after taxes, right? But you put money in there and the cash value grows tax-free and can be taken out tax-free as income or one-time purchases or whatever. So that's the Roth portion. And so what we do is, in order to make that Roth portion more powerful, is we reduce the expenses in the life policy. That's what hampers the growth. Most people that sell life insurance policies are maximizing the death benefit. Well, that's fine when you're 35, but if you're 60, death benefit's less important. Tax-free income is more important. So by reducing the death benefit, there's less expenses in the policy, and therefore the cash grows quicker. We also use indexing, which means it grows with the market up, doesn't lose money, so you're getting a 6 to 8% growth without a chance of losing money. That's powerful, okay, as opposed to the old cash value where you're making 3 to 4%. Something else we do too is we make sure the companies we use have the least expenses, and we also prepay the death benefit. So the first 5 to 7 years that we fund it, we're paying for the death benefit, then we quit funding it, and then the expenses go way down. That's just one leg, is the tax-free income. Leg two is, hey, by the way, if you do pass away, there's a death benefit. So if you have a spouse or kids or grandkids that you want to leave money for, or somebody that's financially dependent, there's a death benefit. So that's leg two of the stool. Leg three, this is powerful, is the death benefit can also be used as a long-term care benefit. That is a free rider, okay? You can add that to the policy. It's called a critical illness rider. You add that, and if you get a long-term care need anytime between the day you buy the policy and the day you die, we just have to submit proof that you have a long-term care need, and they'll go ahead and give you the death benefit over the last 3 to 5 years of your life to pay for long-term care. So how do they pay for that rider? They keep about 5% of those payments. So you don't pay for it unless you use it, and then it's only 5% of the payments. Super powerful tool. I would say probably 80% of our clients have at least one. Some have 2 and 3 of these as part of their overall program. Not everything needs to go into these, but it's a great Roth conversion. You're converting to a super Roth as opposed to a regular Roth.
That's right. So a few things about the Roth about the LIRP that differs a little bit from the Roth. So first of all, you can touch it at any time. With a Roth, you have to wait till you're age 59 and a half before you can start taking funds out. That's not the case with the LIRP.
Right.
No tax during growth, just like a Roth. 100% tax-free distributions. We wouldn't call it a super Roth if it was any other way.
Right.
It doesn't count towards the taxation of Social Security, unlike other tax-efficient vehicles like muni bonds.
Municipal bonds do count. A lot of people say, well, they're tax-free. No, they're tax-efficient. That should count toward the taxes on your Social Security. So that's a good point.
Yeah. Another really big one is there are no contribution limits. With a Roth, you've got, if you're over 50, you've got $7,500 for the year of 2023. If you're under 50, you've got $6,500 you can put in. However, with the LIRP, you have however you designed it with your planner. So before you open the policy, you've designed it, you've squashed that death benefit to where the fees are low, and so it can grow the most. And then you determine how can you pay this over 5, over 10 years, how you want to do it. And so the contribution limits are really whatever you want to make it to be, how much you want to convert. And it really is powerful when you use that to take out of an IRA a tax-deferred plan, use that as a method of conversion.
And Evan, the way we determine how much to put in is I take a look at their entire IRA amount. So let's say between the husband and the wife, they have $1 million in IRA money. She's got a 401k, he has one, IRA, whatever. So typically I'll do about a 10% over 5 years. Okay, so $1 million, 10% is 100,000. So we'll put 50,000 into hers, 50,000 into his. 5 years, we're done. Then we start using regular Roth conversion. But at this point, now they've got these super Roths or LIRPs that are fully functional, and from that point on, they just take off in growth.
Yeah, just at that point, any fees or
most of the expenses are gone.
Right,
yep.
Right.
Yep.
Let's see. Here's another one that's really important. You don't have to have earned income to contribute to a LIRP.
Exactly. That's a great point. A Roth or an IRA, as we said earlier, you have to have earned income. A LIRP, most of our clients are retired. They don't have earned income, but we do the Roth conversions, like I said, from an IRA into the LIRP program.
Right. And something that we get more and more, actually, especially in some of our classes, whether it's about Social Security or IRAs, Mark, is Social Security going away? How safe is it? We know it's in trouble, all this other stuff. Well, Mark, how long will we be able to have tax-free money in a Roth? Is the government going to get their hands on that? We don't know. We certainly have our opinions, but that's not what we're discussing today. However, the LIRP doesn't have legislative risk. And why is that?
Mostly because of the fact that it's been around since before the federal tax system came into place. So it's always been grandfathered in. That's been restated 7 times by 7 different administrations and Congresses over the last 100 years. As we know, the tax system that we have now has been around since 1913. The life insurance policy, the basis, the chassis has been around since the 1700s, early 1800s. And so it's always been grandfathered in. The Roth is relatively new. Came around, I think, in the 80s. And so I can see that on the chopping block somewhere down the road where, think about it this way, Evan. People are saving all this money in these IRAs and 401ks. The government knows they're going to get paid. If you got a $1 million IRA, you don't have a $1 million IRA. Part of that's taxable. So you may have a $700,000 IRA. The government knows they're going over the next however many years, they're going to get that $300,000. So think of the billions of dollars in retirement accounts that the government's just waiting on people to turn 73, if they're not already taking money out, to start getting those taxes rolling in, and taxes will be higher. Sometimes we think our government is kind of stupid. I don't think they're quite as stupid as we think they are. No offense intended for anybody listening as part of the government, by the way.
We'll edit that part out. Just like the legislative risk, we also get similar questions where people ask, well, what about the insurance company? How do I know to trust an insurance company? And of the few insurance companies that we use for these specific products, one, we use them because the companies themselves are hundreds of years old, A+ rated, but also because they have the best tool. They have created the best tool in the industry at the moment. So those are the ones we're using. insurance companies versus banks. Do you have an opinion on that?
So insurance companies have more layers of protection than any other financial institution. During the Great Depression, 100% of annuity payments were paid out by insurance companies. 100% of life insurance benefits were paid out. Why? Because of the protection offered. The biggest protection is they have to keep 100% of the money that they've promised in reserve. In other words, it's in their bank. So it's there. Now they're earning interest on some of them, some very short-term type of treasury bond and overnight vehicles, things like that. But it's there. You go to the bank, if you've got $50 million like Jed Clampett had on the Beverly Hillbillies, he'd go into the banker, Mr. Drysdale, I think was his name. He'd say, I want to see my $50 million. He couldn't show it to him because it wasn't in the bank. They'd already loaned it back out at risk. And so, yeah, we have the FDIC. The FDIC was one major bank failure away from being broke back in 2008, 2009, 2010, okay? There are restrictions by the FDIC that they can actually hold your money for up to 6 months, half of it, and then hold the rest of it for another 6 months. I may be off a little bit on the months and on the rules on that, but there are rules where they can actually hold your money if the bank's in trouble. Insurance companies have 5 different levels of protection. I won't go through much detail. We're running out of time, but in addition to the fact that they have to have reserves, they also have reinsurance, and every insurance company has an agreement that says that they have to pick up any policyholders if a life insurance company were to fail. And so those policyholders, and a lot of you may have gotten a letter, hey, I think it was Chattahoochee Life, based out of Georgia, went broke, so other companies absorbed their clients. No difference in their contracts or anything. And so, and then each state also has a guarantee program of several $100,000 that can also kick in. So there's not a problem. Your money's safer in an insurance company than any other financial vehicle. Great point.
So with those, as Mark mentioned, as kind of the three-legged stool, you've got the tax-free income, which is great. The death benefit, which pays the full amount, even if the cash value that you've been accumulating isn't as much as the death benefit. If you pass away, you're
day one you pass away, you get the whole
full
thing.
Death benefit. Right. That's a powerful leg, and then as well the long-term care, which is becoming more and more of an issue. Right. As long-term care insurance on its own becomes unattainable or eventually unaffordable as you age, and that's one of the worst things we see. Someone pays into it for 20 years. By the time they're 80, they can't afford it and they have to drop it. So they've got 20 years of premiums that are useless at that point. Right. We're wrapping up now, but again, I do want to reiterate, we're not saying that one thing is better than the other. What we are saying is, just like our clients, you need a little bit of everything to balance out. You
multi-pronged attack.
Those IRA deferred funds, you need some cash, some Roth tax-free funds. The LIRP is a fantastic balance, and it's a tool that can fit specifically for specific needs, as we've already discussed.
There's several other tools we haven't mentioned as well. We're not going to get them today, but it's all about tax planning. If you don't have a tax strategy as part of your overall retirement roadmap, then you're really missing out on some major issues.
Yeah, folks, I just want to remind you guys, first of all, thanks so much for listening. Check out our website, masterplanretire.com. There is a Schedule Now button that will take you directly to Mark's calendar. You can schedule your initial consultation with him to discuss your retirement hopes, dreams, and fears. Have some illustrations and financial reports ran for you. Get a good 10,000-foot view of your own retirement. We offer that face-to-face in office in Marietta, Georgia. Also, we got really good at Zoom, as a lot of people have over the past few years. Or give us a call at 770-980-9262. Mark, any parting words today?
One of my favorite things is meeting with new folks and hearing their story, hearing their dreams, their goals, hearing their problems, their concerns. And so would love to chat with you. If it goes no further, that's fine, give you some ideas. But in the meantime, hopefully we'll get a chance to meet. But until we do, plan well and prosper. Take care, everybody. This was Retirement Roadmap Radio with Mark Fricks of Master Plan Retirement Consultants. To schedule a complimentary consultation, go to masterplanretire.com or call 770-980-9262. Thanks for listening, and remember,
plan well and prosper.
All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, a registered investment advisor in the state of Georgia. Mark Fricks and Master Plan Retirement Consultants are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.